need to be arrested and taken off the streets of this country. Then I read another story about how most people in ICE detention aren't criminals. Now the story is, how bad of a criminal they have to be. I saw a story the other day. Only 1% of the illegal aliens removed were murderers. Are you kidding me? Being in the country illegally is not illegal anymore? You got to commit a murder to be deported? If you look at ICE detention, I'll say it again. Look at detention. Who's in detention? I looked at the numbers this morning. A majority are criminals, a criminal history. Who are the rest? Final order cases, who are judge ordered removed. The others are expedited removal. By federal statute, demands they be detained. So for the media out there, let's try telling the truth about the men and women of ICE and the men and women of the Border Patrol. I wore that uniform. I was an ICE agent. These are the finest men and women in this country that put their lives on the line every day for this country. I buried Border Patrol agents. I buried ICE agents. Luckily, thank God, we're not burying one today. Enough. I love the men and women of ICE. I love the men and women of the Border Patrol. They're finally doing the job they took an oath to do, and they got a great leadership of Secretary Noem, who's going to enforce the law without apology. I appreciate your leadership. I think it's all.
Good morning. Diane Sabatino, Acting Executive Assistant Commissioner, Office of Field Operations. First, I certainly want to express my heartfelt thanks to Secretary Noem, Commissioner Scott, and Border Czar Homan for the incredible support they've demonstrated for the New York Field Office, Office of Field Operations the last couple of days. You know, it is a tragic scenario to get a phone call about an officer, any CBP, Customs and Border Protection employee that's injured in the line of duty. It was even more tragic, this individual off duty. You know, they picked the wrong guy in this particular case. Two assailants, you know, just a crime of opportunity. Unfortunately, and I apologize, I'm a bit overwhelmed. I saw the officer this morning, and having met him before and seeing how challenged our officers are in taking care of each other during this hard time. But just to get back to what I was saying, they picked the wrong individual to try to rob. And thank God, when we invest in our CBP officers, we invest in training, we invest in vigilance 24/7. Our officers and our agents stand watch 24/7 on the front line of the United States of America. And we'll take action, and we'll demonstrate that vigilance and dedication at any opportunity.
Morning, everyone. My name is Frank Russo. I'm the Director of Field Operations for U.S. Customs and Border Protection in the New York Field Office. We sit on a historical site. This building, One World Trade Center, sits on the very footprint of our old custom house. We were here from 1973 until 9/11. The memorial fountains that sit outside this window remind us of the attacks on 9/11. We have employees who were here for the first attack in 1993. They were here for the attack on 9/11, and they're back again. Our officer who was attacked on Saturday night embodies all the courage and resiliency of all our employees in CBP who are here in the New York Field Office. And our hearts are with him and his family as he recovers, and we ask that you all pray with us for his quick recovery. These acts, as the Secretary, Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner, Mr. Homan mentioned, should not have happened. And we need your help to make sure that they don't happen again. We thank you all for being here. I want to thank the Secretary, Border Czar Homan, Commissioner Scott, Assistant Commissioner Sabatino, and our partners at HSI and ERO for supporting us during these difficult times. Thank you.
Again, we want to continue to lift up this family and our officer in our prayers. We're thinking of him, and had the opportunity to visit with them this morning. They're doing well. But they do appreciate the outreach that they've had from the city, from all of the different agencies, the nonprofits that have reached out and have been willing to help them and walk alongside of them. But they also recognize, when I asked them if there was anything that they needed, they said, go after these criminals. One of the things he would have appreciated the most is if you doubled down on these bad guys that perpetuate crimes like these and even use these mopeds to commit their crimes and are well known for using them throughout the city to go out and to rob poor innocent people who are out enjoying an evening on the town with their family members. So we will continue to take that encouragement to go after criminals in this country, and especially those who have perpetuated acts like this that shouldn't be here and should never have been here. I want to remind you that this individual had been arrested 4 different times before this act happened on Saturday night. Arrested and released again and again and again. And what did we think was going to happen from policies like that? When you take a dangerous individual and you allow them to never face any consequences for the acts that they're perpetuating against the public, and then you end up in a situation that could have been prevented. So we're lifting that family up in prayer. We're going to walk alongside them, but also we're going to double down and make sure that these criminal, illegal aliens are not only off our streets, but they're out of our country. And that once again, America can be a country where the rule of law matters, where the laws apply to everyone equally, and never once is an illegal alien put above an American citizen or their safety and their opportunity to have the American dream. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions that you may have. Yes, sir. Yeah, we've already had some retired agents that have indicated they'd like to come back and help. They love the opportunity to come back and work for an agency that's allowed to do its job. Under this administration, President Trump is allowing our ICE and our CBP officers, our law enforcement officers, to do their jobs again, and that's reinvigorating them and their desire to want to be a part of a team where someone's got their backs. What we'll do in a city like this is we'll double down. We'll put more agents here. We'll put more personnel here. We'll give them more equipment, more training for situations where they may have to go into a dangerous neighborhood where local law enforcement won't be there to have their backs. And we'll continue to talk to the public about the truth of what we're doing. The media has lied over and over and over again about what President Trump has given us as direction to do in this country when it comes to criminal and illegal aliens. We have prioritized them. They are our targets. We're going to go after those individuals that are perpetuating crimes in our country and remove them and get them out and have them face consequences for what they're doing. So what you will see when you have a mayor like this, a city council like this, that's allowing their people to be victimized, is that we will follow through on our promises. We'll put more people here, more agents, more resources, and we'll have more federal agencies deployed in task force models so that they can go out and do their operations and do them safely. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. What we're doing is we're targeting those individuals that are perpetuators of crimes in this country, those who have final removal orders, those who have undergone due process and are needing to be removed from this country. We will do that. The biggest problem we have here in this city is that they don't honor our detainers, is that they're releasing people out of the court system, out of jails, and we have detainers against them, and local law enforcement isn't cooperating with us to honor those so that we can get these individuals off the streets. So we're going to continue to do that work every day, but it would be much safer for law enforcement, much safer for the public, if we could do it in partnership with local law enforcement. And we do that across the country. In so many states, we have agreements with city police, with sheriffs, with local law enforcement who partner with us to make sure our officers can be safe while they do this work, and we can clean up communities that are victims of crime. Unfortunately, here in New York City, it's a different situation, because here people play politics and then you have innocent people get hurt, and that shouldn't happen anymore. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It depends on if you're talking about those who have charges against them, those who have pending charges, those who have final removal orders. Those all continue to be our focus. look at what happened during the Biden administration, which is when he entered this country, was that basically anyone who crossed the border was granted an asylum and given a notice to appear in court, and he never did. Never showed up, of course, which happened with millions of individuals who came into our country. And that's the task that we now have under the Trump administration, is cleaning up the ramifications of that invasion of our country. Remember, people came to this country through an open border and those policies that were terrorists, suspected terrorists, people who were violent criminals from across the world, individuals who were emptied out of prisons and mental institutions, and they came to this country, and Joe Biden and his administration just opened the door and let them flood in. The individuals that perpetuated this crime and violence against our law enforcement officer on Saturday night and his friend were two of those exact same type of individuals that crossed the border under those policies. They shouldn't have been here. They had been arrested in the past and released again. I'm thankful we have a president now who's not going to allow that to happen anymore. Yes, sir. He's an illegal in this country as well. And so he has been brought in. Excuse me? He was detained earlier today and was brought in. It's a case that we will continue to work, but he was a part of this robbery on Saturday night, and hopefully he will face full consequences for being a part of that. He did. They both entered under for the work of our HSI individuals who were able to go out there and partner with other agencies to bring him in this morning. Yes, sir. And your city council. Yes. I just want them to know that we will use every tool at our disposal that we have the authority to under the federal government to bring safety to the people of New York City and to other sanctuary cities across this country. One thing I would encourage the public to do is to continue to speak out for safety, for the ability to walk their kids to school in the morning, for the ability to sleep at home at night safely and not have to worry about violent crime happening right outside of their doorsteps. I've been here in the city several times doing different operations with our ICE officers, with HSI officers, and it's amazing to me how you can be out on the street early in the morning while we're incarcerating many of these individuals who perpetuate violent crimes. And the citizens who live in those neighborhoods walk by us and they say, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping us. Nobody would help us, and we've had to live like this for years. Thank you for giving us the chance to be able to walk down our street again without having to worry about who's going to attack us, who might hurt our children, or what might happen to our small business today. That's our mission every day, is to make sure that we're not going to do what Joe Biden did or what these sanctuary politicians do. They decide who has to be a victim and who doesn't be a victim when they pick and choose who they're going to uphold the law against and who they're not going to. And many times their policies have treated illegal criminals better than they have U.S. citizens. It's wrong and it needs to stop. And this situation on Saturday night where our officer was shot and wounded and hurt and is in the ICU right now in the hospital fighting for his life, that had to happen because it shouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened if we would have had the right leadership in the city. Yes. I can't speak directly if there was an ICE detainer out against this individual right at this time, but he had been arrested 4 different times, had several charges against him. If you remember, I spoke about his charges in Massachusetts as well. For kidnapping, he had charges against him for larceny. This individual should have been deported and never been in this country, and that is one of the individuals that should have been prosecuted for his crimes, and then he would have been on our radar and we would have been able to remove him.
And if I could, there was a detainer, but the issue, as the Secretary said, he was arrested at least 3 or 4 times by NYPD. Well, they're not allowed to work with ICE on your sanctuary city policies. That's what the Secretary's getting to. Cops should be working with the cops. This should be a nonpartisan issue. Cops working with the cops keep New York safe. We're not asking them to be immigration officers. We're asking them to help us remove public safety threat aliens from this country. But NYPD is not allowed to do that. That's exactly what happened in this case.
We have spoken with him about the policies before and asked him to change those policies. There's times that the NYPD, and I believe that's still in place, that if one of our officers is in jeopardy, they're still backing us up on that, but not doing operations with us, which does happen in many other cities and other jurisdictions. We wish we had that kind of partnership with Mayor Adams, and I know you guys have got a leadership election in this country, or in this city, that's going to be happening soon. Boy, start looking at the candidates today and see which one is going to start making this city safer. Because you've got a mayor today that could have done better, and maybe he'd have more support today if he'd have put his people first.
If you look at Commander Shell of NYPD did an op-ed last night that I read, and I saw him on doing interview this morning. He's got 4 decades NYPD. Even he spoke up, said this should never have happened. NYPD should be working with us on criminal actions.
That's not what we're here today about. We're here today to focus on our officer, his family, and to make sure that everybody understands that this didn't have to happen, and that we want more cooperation out of local law enforcement so that we can get dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens off of our streets. Who's talking? Yes, sir.
I want to say 2 things. First, for the last 36 hours, I've watched the people who work under all of you work tirelessly to bring this case. We are expecting to bring federal charges. The thing that I want to say is the commitment of all of our partners to end gun violence in New York is as strong as it ever has been, and we are going to do that.
Take one more question. Look at that. All right, we won't. Thank you all. And then please keep our officer and his family in your prayers. Have a good day.